Once upon a time, I was a Starbucks addict. The coffee was all well and good, but what I really loved were the baked goods. And one of my favorites was the maple pecan scone. Boy, did I ever love those things. I loved them so much that I had to create a keto version. I first made them back in 2012, and it's been a fan favorite ever since. And I'm gonna show you how to make them here today. The first thing we're gonna do is whisk together our dry ingredients. This is an almond flour based scone, so I highly recommend getting a good finely ground almond flour for the best scone consistency. So I have 2 cups of almond flour, and I'm adding a 1/4 cup of granular swerve sweetener. You could use the brown swerve here too, that would be delicious. Then I'm adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to add 1/2 cup of toasted chopped pecans. And we want to stir those in until they're well distributed. Now we can add our wet ingredients. I have 1 large egg, a 1/4 cup of melted butter, 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, and now we can add our maple. Of course, as keto dieters, we cannot use maple syrup. It's far too high carb. However, maple extract or maple flavor is a wonderful addition to your baking cupboard. It is pretty strong. The minute you take the top off, you will smell the maple flavor. Don't spill it, or literally your kitchen will smell like maple for the rest of your life. So I'm adding 1 teaspoon of maple extract. I really like the one from Frontier Nation. And now we're going to work the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients until the dough comes together. Ooh, you can smell that maple already. And you really want to work the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients with a rubber spatula. Now we're ready to shape and cut our scones. So you want to take a large cookie sheet or a baking sheet and line it with a silicone mat or with parchment paper. And then I recommend lightly dusting that with some almond flour. You could even use coconut flour. It'll just keep your dough from sticking to the surface. And you can see here that the dough is really hanging together nicely. So you can just transfer that to your work surface and get it all on there. And now you're just gonna pat the dough into a circle that's about 7 to 8 inches in diameter. And let me tell you, your hands are gonna smell like maple all day. Not a bad thing. If your dough is really sticky, you can just dust with a little more almond flour and work that in. Now to make sure I'm getting my circle as big as I want it, I like to use a dressmaker's measuring tape and just see where I am. And this is exactly 7 inches, which is perfect. Then you want to take a nice big sharp knife and cut it into 8 wedges. And to make sure your scones bake through properly, you're going to separate the wedges and space them out around the baking sheet. These have such a nice consistency already. They're holding together nicely. And just make sure every scone has plenty of space so that they can bake through on the sides. Now they go in the oven at 325 for 18 to 25 minutes. You want them to be golden brown and firm to the touch when you touch them on top. Okay, our scones are out of the oven and I've been letting them cool for about 20 minutes and they are perfect. You can see here they're golden brown around the edges, they are firm to the touch, and they smell amazing. Now, you could just eat these as they are and they'd be delicious. However, the old Starbucks version that I used to love had an amazing maple glaze. So we're gonna make some of that right now and drizzle it over our scones. The glaze starts with 6 tablespoons of powdered swerve sweetener. Then we're gonna add some heavy cream. I've got 2 tablespoons of heavy cream here, and we're adding some more maple extract. So another teaspoon of maple extract, and whisk those in together. Now the glaze is gonna be kind of thick, and if you wanna be able to drizzle it a little better, you're gonna need to add some water. So just add a little water, 1 teaspoon at a time, until you have a nice drizzling consistency. And then you're going to take the glaze and you're just going to drizzle it over your cooled scones. And you want the glaze to be pretty thick so you leave a nice thick drizzle on these beautiful scones. And if you're feeling a little fancy, you can sprinkle it with a little bit more chopped pecan. And yes, friends, I say pecan instead of pecan. You got a problem with that? You really want to take me on? And now we've got beautiful keto maple pecan scones. And I tell you, they rival anything from Starbucks. Let me take a bite. Soft, delicious, perfect scone consistency, and a wonderful maple pecan flavor. For this delicious keto scone recipe and so many more, please check out alldayidreamaboutfood.com.